Betty Smoot Madison here again. We are on day 7 of 31 Days to Wise. All right, so day 7 message is sound judgment. And Solomon starts to talk about youth and sound judgment. And in chapter 7, verse 7, it says, Solomon was saying that I was at the window of my house. I looked out through the lattice. I saw among the simple, I noticed among the young men, a youth who lacked judgment. Imagine if that was the case in these times. Whew, the state of our youth. We are literally raising a generation of youth who have no sound judgment. They have no skills in managing conflict, managing issues, managing disagreements, managing varying personalities. And it's not their fault. It's our fault. The generation before them. It's our fault. The generation before them that did not take the time to teach them sound principles, sound skills in managing life. In managing life, managing conflict, because there's always going to be conflict. No matter what age you are, there's always going to be conflict in life. It's really how you manage that conflict. You ready?
Mm-hmm. In addition to your age. So what you talking about?
Sound judgment.
Sound judgment? Hey.
You want to introduce yourself? Who you is? You ain't just some random person rolling up on me.
I'm that dude to be making sure her technology stuff worked. I was the production team, then I got fired.
He quit. Let's be real. He quit after the first hour. Anyways.
Pink slip. No. What you in here talking about?
So chapter 7, verse 7, Solomon said, "At the window of my house, I looked out through the lattice. I saw among the simple, I noticed among the young men, a youth who lacked judgment."
The next piece is really, really critical because he was going down the street near her corner. The reason I say that's really critical is because we think about these corner boys constantly making these decisions, right? These kids been living on these corners for decades. Nothing's going to stop that. Nothing has stopped that to date. But they're not doing that in a spirit of good judgment. They're doing that in a manner of, let me do what I can do, get what I can get.
Survival.
Right. Instead of thinking about sound judgment and wisdom, because at this point in American history, men are living to be 70, 80, 90, 100 years old, whereas in some of those corners, they're happy to make 18, 21 years old. But
they don't even have the expectation to live past a certain age, to live past their youth. Right.
So if we start thinking about instilling points of judgment to our kids have to realize not only would there be conflict, but beyond the conflict that's in front of them, there's going to be a myriad of decisions that have to be made that you can prepare for. So it's, how did my parents prepare me for this conflict? And what was all of that sound advice that I ignored because I need it right now?
Yep.
Okay, bye.
And it goes on to say, so he was going down the street near her corner, walking along in the direction of her house. At the twilight, as the day was fading, as the dark of night set in, then out came a woman to meet him, dressed like a prostitute and with crafty intent. She is loud and defiant. Her feet never stay at home. Now in the street, now in the squares, and at every corner she lurks. And this is not just, I know in the Bible it speaks about the prostitute, but this is anybody with crafty intent. Okay, this is man or woman. There's a lot of people out there that have crafty and ill intentions. And so they lurk everywhere. And they are always in the streets looking for what the next victim is going to be, or who the next victim is going to be. They're always looking for their next hit. whatever that hit looks like.
You know what I think?
Mm-hmm.
I think the news channels and the news stations, they might need to scroll a Bible verse across the screen when a crime happens or when something, because I think about all of these news reports of somebody getting jacked at the gas station, or somebody getting shot and in the commission of a robbery, and just think about what if they just knew which Bible verse applied from the news, because that's where we get a lot of our information from, and instantly we already know that these people didn't have good intentions when they left their home.
Yes. And that's the issue right there, is we are so far away and removed from the Bible. We are literally, like, all the wisdom we need in life is here in this book, but we don't teach it anymore. We don't teach it to our children. And so, as I was saying before you walked in, a part of this is our fault. The generation ahead of this youthful generation today is not teaching them sound biblical principles, not teaching them the wisdom that is in this book. So they are left to figure things out the way they know how. And it's not based on spiritual principles. It's not based on spiritual morality. They're just doing what they see is best to do, or learning from their friends what is best to do, who also lacks judgment.
Mm-hmm. Because their friends are their peer group. Their peer group's around the same age. The same age has the same lessons in time, right? So I don't remember what I just saw, that most people live within 10 minutes or 10 miles of the place where they were born, about 70%. So think about those places where we have horrible education systems, where we got horrible trends in our crime, where it's never gotten any better. Look at the tenements, right? We look at all of the things and elements that go into maintaining that condition, but we don't look at the way we go into those communities and provide the necessary resources so that good decisions can be made.
And it says in verse 21, with persuasive words, she led him astray. She seduced him with her smooth talk. We all know a lot of smooth talkers. Again,
male and female,
here, but it's male and female. Okay.
He got finessed by a finesser.
Yes, and it says, little knowing it will cost him his life. We got a lot of people around us. Our youth has a lot of people around them that are leading them astray, leading them straight to the grave, and it will cost them everything. And they don't even know it.
Hey, come hang out with me.
They don't even know it. They don't have the wisdom to be able to discern the whether the people that are next to them, the people they hang out with every day, the people that are in their circle, their friends. They don't have the wisdom to discern whether their friends are good for them or not. So they just got a whole bunch of people around them that will ultimately lead them to death. And death is not always physical. Death can be spiritual. Death can be mental. Or death can be like our body is gone from this earth, dead physically. So we got to do better. We have to do better about teaching our youth, teaching our kids about conflict management, about skills in dealing with the throes of life, because life throws curveballs at everybody, but it's how you deal with them, right? It's how you react to those curveballs. And if we have a generation of youth who don't know how to react to it or how to respond to it, we have a youth that's just reacting the best way they know how, and that is to kill. That is to
shoot, right?
Stab,
so
whatever.
Back in my day, I can say that now. Back in my day, they used to throw hands, and you could take 5 knuckles to the forehead, bounce out. But nowadays, they take 5 knuckles to the forehead. That's the end of the game. They done embarrassed them. You ain't gonna embarrass me like that.
People are more concerned about their ego.
Pride, right? It does say that pride will come before the fall. Pride precedes destruction, much like the calm precedes the storm.
That's right.
And we've got to teach our children to remain calm even through the storm, because they do not have the skill sets that we came up with because it was mandatory to have. We look at how the demon attacks our household and our bloodlines, and we have to be prepared to fend that off at all costs. Okay, I'm done.
Well, you just said a word. Thank you for joining me, Mr. Madison.
Thank you, Mrs. Madison. Oh, yeah, and one last thing. Bye.
Well, that's it. That's the message. Again, the message for today was sound judgment. And really wanted to tailor this, as Solomon did, to the youth. And we are so experiencing this today where, I mean, every day on the news, it's scary. Every day on the news, you hear about our young people killing or being killed. We are failing failing the next generations. We were watching Undercover Boss last night, and one of the things that the owner of Mohegan Suns, he said he was taught to think about the next 13 generations. Always think about everything that we are doing today should be for the next 13 generations after us. That's who we should be thinking about. We should not be doing things for ourselves today. That's not how you build legacy. You don't build legacy by thinking about how to improve you. You build legacy by thinking about how you impact the next generations. So we're not doing our job right now if we are not teaching our youth how to navigate the throes of life. All right. Sound judgment, especially for our youth. I hope that you take away from this some motivation to talk to our young folks, some motivation to create and spark mindset change amongst our young people, especially the ages between 15 and 25. They need us. They need us to be on our post. They need us to be on watch. They need us to be on guard. They need us to be praying. They especially need us to be praying. If you're not praying for the youth that are in your arm reach, the youth in your community, the youth in your household, the youth in your family, your nieces, your nephews, we need to teach our youth about conflict management, personality management, how to deal with people, how to deal with different types of people, how to not let people set you off. Yeah, you might have to walk away from some folks, but it don't matter. You might have to brush some things off your shoulder. Everything is not worth going back and forth verbally. Everything is not worth fighting for physically. You have to literally choose your battles. Everything ain't worth going blow to blow for. If we're not teaching our kids that and putting it in their mind daily, then we're not on our post. All right, y'all, that's it. Thank you for joining me for day 7 of 31 Days to Wise. Use sound judgment and make sure that you are teaching other youth how to use sound judgment. All right, see you guys later. Bye.